Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everyone. How are you?
Aslam. I am
Fine, thank you, ma'am.
I
And
am also fine, and you?
I'm also fine. Thank you so
Well,
much.
ma'am,
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you so much. So I'm going to start today's lecture. Today's lecture topic is OPEC. It is a well-known organization of petroleum exporting countries. So today's lecture topic will basically cover the founding history, its missions, and the impact of OPEC from 1960 to 1980s oil glut. Okay, so let's start. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries is an intergovernmental organization of 13 petroleum exporting nations founded on 14 September 1960 in Baghdad by the first five members. These are Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. It has since 1965 been headquartered in Vienna, which is the capital city of Austria. Although Austria is not an OPEC member state, but its headquarters is in Austria. As of September 2018, the 13 member countries accounted for an estimated 44% of global oil production and 81.5% of world's proven oil reserves, giving OPEC a major influence on global oil prices. A larger group called OPEC Plus was formed in late 2016 to have more control on global crude oil market. The demand for OPEC oil has fallen to a 30-year low in second quarter of 2020. Then current OPEC member countries and its emission. The current OPEC members are the Algeria, Angola, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Libya, Nigeria, the Republic of the Congo, Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates and Venezuela. So former OPEC members are Ecuador, Indonesia, and Qatar. That means these countries are not member of OPEC now, members of OPEC now. So the stated mission of the organization is to coordinate and unify the petroleum policies of its member countries and ensure the stabilization of oil markets in order to secure an efficient economic and regular supply of petroleum to consumers, a steady income to producers, and a fair return on capital for those investing in the petroleum industry. The organization is also a significant provider of information about the international oil market. Then history and impact post World War II situation. In 1949, Venezuela and Iran took the earliest steps in the direction of OPEC by inviting Iraq, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia to improve communication among petroleum exporting nations as the world recovered from World War II. At that time, some of the world's largest oil fields were just entering production in the Middle East. The United States had established the Interstate Oil Compact Commission to join the Texas Railroad Commission in limiting overproduction. The United States was simultaneously the world's largest producer and consumer of oil, and the world market was dominated by a group of multinational companies known as the Seven Sisters, five of which were headquartered in United States following the breakup of John D. Rockefeller's original Standard Oil monopoly. Oil exporting countries are eventually motivated to form OPEC as a counterweight to this concentration of political and economic power. So these are clear to everyone. Are you hearing me?
okay, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Then 1959 to 1960, anger from exporting countries. In February 1959, as new suppliers are becoming available, the multinational oil companies, known as MOCs, unilaterally reduced their posted prices for Venezuela and Middle Eastern crude oil by 10%. So weeks later, the Arab League's first Arab Petroleum Congress convened in Cairo, Cairo, that means the capital of Egypt, where the influential journalist Wanda Jablonski introduced Saudi Arabia's Abdullah Tariki to Venezuela's observer Juan Pablo Parge Alfonso, representing the then largest oil producing nation outside the United States and the Soviet Union. Both oil ministers were angered by the price cuts, and the two led their fellow delegates to establish the Modi Pact or Gentleman's Agreement, calling for an oil consultation commission for exporting countries to which MOCs should present price change plans. Okay. So Jablonski reported a marked hostility toward the West and a growing outcry against absentee landlordism of the MOCs, which at the time controlled all oil operations within the exporting countries and wielded enormous political influence. In August 1960, ignoring the warnings and with the United States favoring Canadian and Mexican oil for strategic reasons, the MOCs again unilaterally announced significant cuts in their posted prices for Middle Eastern crude oil. Then 1960 to 1975 founding and expansion. Here, the following month, during 10 to 14 September 1960, the Baghdad conference was held at the initiative of Tariki, then Perez Alfonso, and Iraqi Prime Minister Abdel al-Karim Qasim, whose country had escaped the 1959 Congress. So government representatives from Iraq, Iran, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela met in Baghdad to discuss ways to increase the price of crude oil produced by their countries and ways to respond to unilateral actions by the MOCs. Despite strong United States opposition, together with Arab and non-Arab producers, Saudi Arabia formed the Organization of Petroleum Export Countries, that means OPEC, to secure the best price available from the major oil corporations. The Middle Eastern members originally called for OPEC headquarters to be in Baghdad or Beirut, that means capital city of Lebanon. Okay. But Venezuela argued for a neutral location, and so the organization chose Geneva, Switzerland. Okay, that means that is why because of Venezuela wants a neutral location for the headquarters of OPEC, and that is why they choose Geneva, which is situated in Switzerland, uh, to establish headquarters of OPEC there. Okay, so on 1st September 1965, OPEC moved to Vienna, that is the capital city of Austria, after Switzerland declined to extend diplomatic privileges. So is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Then during 1961 to 1975, the five founding nations are joined by Qatar, Indonesia, then Libya, United Arab Emirates, then Algeria, Nigeria, Ecuador, okay, and Gabon. By the early 1970s, OPEC's membership accounted for more than half of worldwide oil production, indicating that OPEC is not averse to further expansion. Mohammad Barkindo, who was OPEC's acting Secretary General in 2006, argued his African neighbors, Angola and Sudan, to join. And Angola did it in 2007. That means Angola joined in OPEC in 2007. And then Equatorial Guinea in 2017. Since the 1980s, representatives from Egypt, Mexico, Norway, Oman, Russia, and other oil exporting nations have attended many OPEC meetings as observers, as an informal mechanism for coordinating policies. Okay, that means since 1980s, these countries attend different different meeting of OPEC as observers. In 1971, An accord was signed between major oil companies and members of OPEC doing business in the Mediterranean Sea region, called the Tripoli Agreement. Okay. The agreement signed on 2nd April 1971 raised oil prices and increased producing countries' profit shares. Then 1973 to 1974 oil embargo. So in October 1973, the Organization of Arab Petroleum Exporting Countries, this is also known as OAPEC. Okay, so OAPEC, it's consisting of the Arab majority of OPEC plus Egypt and Syria. Okay, so declared significant production cuts and an oil embargo against the United States and other industrialized nations that supported Israel in the Yom Kippur War. Okay, so basically Yom Kippur War was mm, uh, was held between Israel and Egypt and Syria. Okay, this war was where Israel was against party of Syria and Egypt. Okay. So though the United States and other industrialized nations supported Israel, and that is why the OAPC they announced that uh, they will cut oil production against USA and other industrialized nations. Okay. So a previous embargo attempt was largely ineffective in response to the Six-Day War in 1967. So in 1967, there was another oil embargo, but it was not effective. But however, in 1973, the result was a sharp rise in oil prices and OPEC revenues from $3 per barrel to $12 per barrel, and an emergency period of energy rationing uh, intensified by panic reactions, a declining trend in United States oil production, currency devaluations, and a lengthy United Kingdom coal miners dispute. For a time, the United Kingdom imposed an emergency 3-day work week. 7 European nations banned non-essential Sunday driving. United States gas stations limited the amount of gasoline that could be dispensed, closed on Sundays, and restricted the days when gasoline could be purchased based on license plate numbers. Even after the embargo ended in March 1974, following intense diplomatic activity, prices continued to rise. The world experienced a global economic recession with unemployment and inflation surging simultaneously. Steep declines in stock and bond prices, major shifts in trade balances and petrodollar flows, and a dramatic end to the post-World War II economic boom. Is it clear to everyone? That means there was a significant impact of 1973 to 1974 oil embargo on United States and other industrialized nations. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Then the 1973 to 1974, this oil embargo had lasting effects on the United States and other industrialized nations, which established the International Energy Agency in response, as well as national energy stockpiles designed to withstand months of future supply dispersion. Oil conservation efforts included lower speed limits on highways, then smaller and more energy efficient cars and appliances, year-round daylight saving time, reduced uses of heating and air conditioning, then better insulation, increased support of mass transit, and greater emphasis on coal, natural gas, ethanol, nuclear, and other alternative energy sources. That means the United States and other industrialized countries, already they already searched the the well substitute energy sources. Okay. These long-term efforts become effective enough that United States oil consumption would rise only 11% during 1980 to 2014, while real GDP rose 150%. Uh, that means this limiting oil consumption increased real GDP of United States between 1980 to 2014 150%. Okay. But the 1970s OPEC nations demonstrated convincingly that their oil could be used as both a political and economic weapon against other nations, at least in the short term. Okay. So that means OPEC already could realize that they could use their oil as a weapon, okay, as a weapon against other nations. At least they could use oil against other nations at least for short term. Okay. So then 1975 to 1980 special fund, now which one is known as OFID. Okay. That means the OFID, OPEC Fund for International Development, which is known as. Okay. So OPEC's international aid activities date from well before the 1973 to 1974 oil price surge. For example, the Kuwait Fund of Arab Economic Development has operated since 1961. In the years after 1973, as an example of so-called checkbook diplomacy, certain Arab nations have been among the world's largest providers of foreign aid, and OPEC added to its goals the selling of oil for the socio-economic growth of poorer nations. Okay. The OPEC Special Fund was conceived in Algiers, Algiers, which is the capital city of Algeria, in March 1975, and was formally established the following January. A Solomon Declaration reaffirmed the natural solidarity which unites the OPEC countries with other developing countries in their struggle to overcome underdevelopment, okay, and called for measures to strengthen cooperation between these countries. Okay. So the OPEC Special Fund, it was written there. So resources are additional to those already made available by OPEC states through a number of bilateral and multilateral channels. The fund became an official international development agency in May 1980 and was renamed the OPEC Fund for International Development, that means OFID, with permanent observer status at the United Nations. Okay. Then 1979 to 1980s oil crisis and 1980s oil glut. In response to a wave of oil nationalizations and the high prices of the 1970s, industrial nations took steps to reduce their dependence on OPEC oil, especially after prices reached a new peak approaching US dollar 40 per barrel in 1979 to 1980, when the Iranian Revolution and Iran-Iraq were distorted regional stability and oil supplies. Electric utilities worldwide switched from oil to coal, natural gas, or nuclear power. Okay. So national governments initiated multi-billion-dollar research programs to develop alternatives to oil, and commercial exploration developed major non-OPEC oil fields in Siberia, Alaska, the North Sea, and Gulf of Mexico. By 1986, daily worldwide demand for oil dropped by 5 million barrels. Non-OPEC production rose by an even larger amount, and OPEC's market share shrank from approximately 50% in 1979 to less than 30% in 1985. Okay. That means the alternative of oil, Okay, that means source of energy as oil, the alternative of source of energy. This reduce the reduce the market share of OPEC. Okay, and OPEC market share shrank from approximately 50%, where it was 50% in 1979. Okay, it became 30% in 19, less than 30% in 1985. Okay, so these are clear to everyone. Students, are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so is there any question? So this
Ma'am,
is our last slide. This is our last slide. Okay, so to combat falling revenue from oil sales in 1982, Saudi Arabia pressed OPEC for audited national production quotas in an attempt to limit output and boost prices. When other OPEC nations failed to comply, Saudi Arabia first slashed its own production from 10 million barrels daily in 1979 to 1981 to just one third of that level in 1985. When even this proved ineffective, Saudi Arabia reversed course and flooded the market with cheap oil, causing prices to fall below 10 US dollar per barrel. Where it was $40 per barrel, then it became $10 per barrel, and higher cost producers to become unprofitable. Okay. So faced with increasing economic hardship, the free riding oil exporters that had limit production to shore up prices based on painstakingly negotiated national quotas that showed to balance oil related and economic criteria since 1986. Okay. So generally, when OPEC production targets are reduced, oil prices increase. So all of these are clear to everyone.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So is there any question here?
Yes, ma'am. Why oil embargo? What's the main reason or main causes uh, oil embargo?
Yes. Oil embargo. Okay.
Yes,
Oil. Yes. Oil. What was the main reason? It was Yom Kippur oil. Main reason was Yom Kippur oil. Okay. Israel. That means the USA and another industrialized countries such as UK, then Canada, Mexico. That countries supported Israel in that oil. Okay, and that is why the Middle East countries, oil exporting countries, which countries supported Egypt and Syria in that oil, they took decision that they will cut oils for use and other industrialized countries. Clear? Is it clear?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there any question?
No, ma'am.
No. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.